Most of us assume that time is a container, a pre-existing track that the train of conscious experience rides along, moving smoothly from the past toward the future. But if time were made of purely instantaneous, mathematical moments, tightly packed together like points on a line, conscious experience would be impossible. You cannot hear a melody in an instant. Cut a piece of music down to an isolated millisecond, and you are left with a frequency, not a song. Understanding a sentence requires the start of the thought to persist until the end arrives. This animated diagram visualizes what psychologist William James called the specious present. Notice how the central dot expands into a thick block. To experience a continuous flow, your mind must hold the immediate past in retention while simultaneously anticipating the incoming future. Consciousness demands a temporally thick, actively flowing present, what philosopher Henri Bergson called lived duration. An experience that occupies no duration is no experience at all. Foundational physics presents a completely different puzzle. The core mathematical equations governing the universe are perfectly time-symmetric. Run those equations backward, and they work equally well. They provide no mechanical reason why causes must precede effects, or why the past is firmly locked in place while the future remains completely open. Yet we know from everyday life that reality moves in one strict direction. You never see a shattered object perfectly reassemble itself from fragments on the floor. Lived reality is strictly irreversible. Neuroscience cannot fully explain our sense of a flowing present, and physics cannot mechanically explain the forward arrow of time. The assumption that time is a static container fails on both ends. A distinct physical mechanism is needed to connect human experience with physical reality. Time does not precede consciousness. The forward arrow of time emerges directly through the activity of conscious experience. This animation illustrates quantum superposition. Before a measurement occurs, physical reality exists in an indeterminate state, where multiple possibilities exist and overlap simultaneously. When a measurement happens, those indeterminate possibilities are forced to resolve into a single, definite reality. This is quantum collapse. The unfinishable map proposes that consciousness is the specific mechanism participating in and triggering this physical collapse within the brain. The transition from overlapping possibilities to a single, definite state creates absolute irreversibility. By continuously collapsing these quantum states, consciousness acts as the actual engine generating the forward arrow of time. This diagram visualizes the modified growing block model of the universe. The solid, rigid trail left behind is the past, a structure of fully collapsed events. The empty void ahead is the future, which does not yet exist. The chaotic, shifting, leading edge is the present, the exact, active point of quantum collapse. There is a well-known neurological challenge to this model. Experiments reliably show that physical brain activity spikes hundreds of milliseconds before a person becomes consciously aware of making a decision. The resolution is atemporal selection. Consciousness operates retrocausally. It does not occur at a single, isolated point on a timeline. Instead, it selects a complete sequence of events across time, locking in the prior neural preparation and the resulting action together simultaneously. Lived duration, that thick, flowing sense of the present we experience every waking moment, is precisely what this continuous collapse activity feels like from the inside. The human sensation of time passing is not passive observation. It is the distinct internal friction of actively manufacturing reality. This temporal requirement sets strict limits on artificial intelligence. Large language models process information in a discontinuous, start-stop manner. They are entirely stateless between interactions. Look at this side-by-side comparison of underlying architectures. On the left, a continuous reentrant loop. On the right, the fragmented, linear sequence of current AI. Because these models lack the dynamic temporal structure required to constitute time, they are categorically excluded from experiencing consciousness. This same logic exposes a critical flaw in the attempt to reduce human consciousness entirely to underlying physical brain processes. Standard physical laws rely entirely on the forward arrow of time to dictate how states evolve and causes precede effects. But if the arrow of time relies on the active participation of consciousness to exist in the first place, reducing consciousness to physics becomes a perfectly circular argument. This framework forces a total reevaluation of human agency. It entirely dismantles the concept of a predetermined timeline. If consciousness is the mechanism resolving quantum superposition, individuals are not merely reacting to events playing out inside a fixed temporal container. Human choice is the active conversion of indeterminate physical potential into rigid history. Deciding forces multiple overlapping possibilities into a single, irreversible reality. Human agents do not operate within time. Through the continuous act of conscious choice, they literally build the temporal structure of the universe.